I have seen friends stuck in 221G administrative processing for months. Are those consular delays expected to continue in fiscal year 2026, or is there any sign the system's catching up?
The system can't catch up because they've laid off a whole bunch of employees. They're not hiring anybody at the Department of State. How can it catch up? The only way it catches up is if the volume substantially decreases. But they're not doing administrative processing because there's more questions. They're doing administrative processing to delay cases intentionally. It's all intentional. It's not an accident, which is why many people are now having to sue the government to get their case moving forward. So yeah, this is going to continue, and I think it's going to get worse.
Okay. So another UGC, a few other UGC questions from Reddit. So there's this person who said, let's start with something that's really worrying people. If the Department of Labor backlog spills over into next year, do applicants actually risk losing their priority date, or does it carry forward automatically?
No, nobody loses their priority date. Your priority date is set in stone. Priority date is set in stone when you file that labor short period. Whether they take a year, 2 years, or 10 years, your priority date is there. So don't worry about the Department of Labor backlogs. If you're an Indian national, it doesn't really matter at this point because you're not getting a green card anytime soon anyway. So you're just doing this to buy time until you can do an EB1, an EB5, or decide to go somewhere else. They're counting on you leaving, by the way. You know that. That's what they're betting on. That's what they're forcing you into.
Okay. And also, this another person said on Reddit that there's been a lot of talk about H-1B applications dropping nearly 25% this year. Do you think that's because people are giving up on the system, or are companies quietly moving those jobs overseas?
Oh, no, there's definitely movement overseas. And I think we're going to see if for some way, well, by the way, the reason this last year they dropped was because this is really the first year the lottery was not fixed. So people didn't have to submit duplicates. They didn't have to go around the system. So I think that drop was directly tied to how the lottery was run and not because of demand lowering. I think there will be much lower demand this next year if this $100,000 fee is in place, because only the wealthiest of employers, and this has to be paid by the employer, can afford this fee. So, if you have a wealthy employer, and you file for the lottery, I think there's a 100% chance you get the visa because they're the only ones that can pay the fee.
But would you suggest people, to rush filings before new 2026 rules drop, or is waiting safer?
Well, the rule's still in place. So, at this point, there's nothing you can do this year that's going to affect next year. The only people that should be rushing anything are people applying for citizenship, because on October 20th, the citizenship rules change and the tests become much harder and longer. So if you're eligible for citizenship because you've had your green card for 5 years or 3 years married to a U.S. citizen, you should be applying this week for your citizenship and not waiting.
Okay. And what about people with, publications and advanced degrees? What are realistic alternatives for them?
Well, again, advanced degrees should always be an EB2, but what you really want to do is figure out how, again, if you're an Indian, you got to figure out how to get into EB1 or how you're going to save enough money to do EB5, because EB2 and EB3 are not becoming current in our lifetimes as of right now. And I don't see the Congress doing anything to add numbers, not while the demagogues on anti-immigration are in power.